welcome to the Young Pro Show, where we bring you powerful conversations with incredible human beings from all around the world. Today on the show, we have a special guest, Angella Goran. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Super excited to have you on today. Angela is a team leader in the tech world and the social entrepreneurship world. She's currently running a company. Called SokJok, and I can't wait to talk a little bit more about that. She also biked across all of Canada, which is pretty cool. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Angela, why don't we start off by just talking about where your journey started as an entrepreneur and what gave you the inspiration to do everything you're doing right now?
That's a good start for sure to share. Well, I came from the west coast of Canada to Ottawa, our nation's capital, about 10 years ago. Like many people in the good nation's capital, people come here to work in government because it has a lot of jobs in that. So I graduated from the University of Victoria with political science, so it made sense. Got a great job right off the bat. That moved me here in 2006. And I worked up on the hill. So I ended up being there for about 2 years. And let's just say that quickly after I'd say I moved into HRSDC after about 8 months of being on the hill to work with Minister Monty Salberg. He was at the time the Minister of HRSDC, which is Human Resources and Social Development. They took over education as a profile. And long and the short is I learned very quickly being, young, definitely a young member of that staff. I was doing more of the listening than I was the reporting or the policy. But I definitely saw that one of the things that the Conservative government at the time was looking at was where in education we could make budget cuts based on the federal mandate to the provincial governments. Because in Canada, education comes from provincial mandated funding, although obviously federally, because federally we make elections and we make choices together. It was just really interesting to learn where that money was going to go and what was going to be cut. And one of the things that evidently came across my desk all the time was the fact that extracurricular programs were one of those items. And my background, aside from being, a graduate at UVic and poli-sci and moving to work government, was, and still is to this date, being active in sport. And I look back to the fact of getting to a very high level as an elite athlete and a professional athlete that competed all over the world, that, if it wasn't for that first coach in grade 5 that recognized a little girl that liked to run back and forth to the bus and had that opportunity to get into sport programs in the schools, would I have excelled to the level of sport I did? And I think you put that forward 20 years or 25 years into my first career when I was sitting there looking at, we're going to cut drama programs, we're going to cut debate teams, we're going to cut all the funding from sports teams that can be allocated to parents. Like parents can afford more and more these days, right?
Yeah.
I guess for me that answered my why. I didn't know, to be honest, at the time it was going to lead me. I think like many startups or entrepreneurs, I don't think they kind of wake up one day and go, I want to start a business. So, an idea starts and then eventually it leads that way. I knew that I wasn't happy in the job that I was doing. And I think that led to the why I exited and sought after some career options that made me more excited. And that it gave me the tipping point to leave government, work for a cool organization with the HBC Run for Canada. And, kind of the rest is history, to be honest, because at the HBC Run for Canada, that's where the idea of adding a sock to a running kit became the story of SokJok. I saw great potential with a simple product that lots of runners and walkers wear for cause-based events in sports, which I love. And that idea grew to looking at, like a lot of people buy socks in Canada, like a figure. So, I think at the end of the day, the light bulb went off when I realized how much money was going back to, obviously, HBC Run for Canada. It was a run to let you guys know that supported Olympic athletes. They don't do it anymore, which is unfortunate. But one of the things, not coming from a retail background, I got invested in the SWOT analysis or the back end of that when the event was over, and really discovered in retail how much it costs to make items or clothing, how much the manufacturing does, the shipping costs, the import costs, taxes, the cost of actually retailing that. There's retail space in stores. Lots of times we don't think about that as consumers, but when you own something, you do. So the SWOT analysis broke it down where I really realized that the amount that was actually going back to what I thought was the Olympic athletes was pretty minimal. And I don't know, like, I think that light bulb went off. I had all the stats from when I left government of all the schools and how many kids there were across Canada that were in need of funding. And somehow I just remember waking up one day going, man, there's a lot of kids across Canada that have feet wear socks.
Yeah.
And I think the rest is history. Like, that became our Sokology, right? Like, from the start, my Sokology is like, take a simple product that we are all consumers of here in Canada and reinvest it into youth futures. There you go. Like that, the HBC Run for Canada gave me that idea. And since 2009, haven't looked back.
Wow. So do you feel like it started off with you wanting to give back to youth futures and the product came afterwards? Or
100%.
was it, yeah?
Yeah. It's, what I think, and I know Matt, because you're there too, like, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to, it's a passion project. I never left. I didn't leave the job that I had on the Hill thinking, I'm going to go into business. I left definitely knowing, I looked down at my why. Like, before I left, obviously I didn't like run away without having a job in place. I wanted to make sure I had some security, but I knew that I wanted to go out and fulfill doing something that I loved. And I think oftentimes that's how I'm branding and talking to a lot of companies now. And even when I go in to present at schools, my presentation is around life on purpose and life for purpose. And I think that's what happened when before I left the government job, I wrote down, like, I did a visual, almost like a mind map of what counts to me. Like, what, if I was to sit down at the end of my life and look back and almost like write an obituary, what is it that I'm here on this planet to do? And it's a big question. Like, obviously it's ever evolving and changing, but I did know that I wanted to be more invested in community at a micro level. I knew I wanted to work with cool people doing cool things to make a difference. And I definitely wanted to make a difference in youth and families. And that right there gave me that foundation. So obviously the HBC Run for Canada was a lot of fun because it was a family fun run. It had a kids run and it involved athletes that were my friends because of my background. So it didn't feel like work. I got to go to all these major cities, and out of that came a beautiful idea that's continued to be very much a driving force behind my craziness around soccer.
Can you go into a little more detail on what life on purpose means to you and what that should mean for youth?
Yeah, oh my gosh. Life on purpose for me gives, especially now, a real definition of who I am as a person and my foundation. I think one of the things that we, when we're born into this world, we have the opportunity to be creative. And that's why I love children so much, is that they're so innocent, especially, the younger they are, they have this whole concept of how beautiful the world is. And then somehow as we age, we obviously realize that there's pros and cons and there's evils in the world that, might not necessarily drive us into the right direction. But I think life on purpose for me is one of those things where the more true we are to ourselves and we find out what our values are earlier on, and the earlier the better, and we stay true to those, the more we're going to find that happiness will be in our lives. And those that are around us are going to see that. And they're also going to be the people that gravitate to happiness. Like attracts like. I fully believe in the powers of the universe of bringing people together that want to do similar things. We attract friendships and relationships that are like that. So, life on purpose, sharing that to youth about, discovering who they are and more so why they are who they are, and putting a sense of pride into the values that they stand up for is really strong. And that, that can cover a lot of topics. Like, we look at mental health issues, eating disorders with teens, to, what drives them into sport or academics, or, categorize kids into like, you're in academia or you're kind of like a nerd, that's cool now. Right. And I love saying, well, gosh, like, if that that's your purpose and you value those are things that you want to do, then that's great. That's awesome. We should be there to support that. So yeah, finding out who you are really early, the earlier on, the better it makes you a stronger person.
How do you teach kids to find their purpose?
So my tool, which is a lot of fun, my grandma gave it to me in 2004 when I graduated from the UVic. My grandma gave me a cool journal to write in, and she did the first insert. So going back to something I said earlier about obituary, that's actually what she asked me to do. My first insert was to take the time and write out, my obituary. What people would remember me for, and what my life was gonna entail, and I think, when I asked her, obviously on the day you grad, you're kind of out there to like, wow, like finally I'm out of here, got my cert, and you're excited, and that was a big shocker to open that and read that insert, although it was obviously congratulations too. But I think that right there was an underlying, like, a really good thing. So that's what I leave with youth. I don't necessarily go in and say, write your obituary. What I generally kind of like to put is, you're 90 years old and you're sitting down on your comfy country, couch or porch, and you're looking back on life, and, what is it that you want to think that you've encompassed, and what's fulfilled it? Because I think oftentimes our generation, and even the generation behind us, we're so inundated day by day by so much that oftentimes we don't take the time to sit down, and whether it takes our fingers to a tablet or a pen to paper, and actually write down some of those things that mean something in our life, or what we would like to accomplish, and staying true to those. I think that's the message. Like, what I like giving them as a tool is writing that first insert. If they haven't done a vision board or have a journal, start doing that now, because that's something that's so personal, and it keeps you accountable to what you say you're about.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay to change it up over time?
Absolutely. Oh, you like your purpose and your
purpose and your vision board and all that stuff. Like, do we have to hold on to what we've written down?
No, I think, what the cool part about a vision board is that it moves, right? Like, life changes, like, things happen. I think the neat thing is once you start your vision board, or you start that insert, oftentimes your values or your foundation are still there, but things might change, right? Like, you might end up, say kids or something in your life, you might not end up having your own kids, you might adopt a child, or maybe you end up working a lot with children and not having your own, or another thing could be you want to do a lot of travel, so you might not get to that later on. So yeah, like, it all moves, but it's one of those things that it's there, right? And life happens, as we know it. Like, how many people have been impacted by the loss of a loved one at an earlier stage, right? We can't right now, like, say, like, oh gosh, like, I'd love to say I'm going to live to be 150 years old. But I think the thing that means the most about that vision board or that insert is having the fact that you put some notice of who you are and what you're wanting to accomplish. So it just keeps you in perspective of what those goals are. But there's no timeline, and you can't add to it. If anything, I think you should continue to add to it and allow it to grow.
Yeah, allow it to change and flourish, and mold, and as you become a different person through your own personal growth and changes, and as you get older, etc., it's going to change for you. And just being aware of that starting point is a cool place to go back and look at from time to time, and readapt those things as you do get older and change.
Absolutely. Well, and it sets you up too. Like, how often, like in sport, or you hear anybody that's motivationally speaking, if I woke up every single morning and I read a piece of paper or a note that said, you're a failure and you suck and you're going to have a crappy day, I probably would start my day off pretty low, right? Like, if I
kind of like the grades you get in school.
Yeah. Right. If I woke up to like notes or messages, or I read my insert where it said like, you're an all-star and you've got great people in your life and you can do this. So same idea, like mentally being able to promote who you are and feel pumped about that. Yeah. Like, it's nice to be able to have something that makes you accountable to that. Like, I remember when I was training, full time pretty much as an athlete, that I had sticky notes everywhere. Like, I'd randomly find something. Oh, there's like, I think when I moved out of one place, it was so funny. My mom and I were laughing because she's like, oh, look at that. And you'd find something in a drawer and it'd just be a random place, like, smile, your day's perfect, and quirky things like all over the place that I knew at some point I would need to find them, because we all have those days. So I think that's the nice thing about going back to something that you've written down. You yourself have written that down, gives you something to read and go, I want to try to be as accountable to everything I promised myself. Promising somebody else something is one thing, but I think oftentimes we are not successful at promising ourselves something. And we are really at the end of the day, the most important thing. Like, if I'm not healthy, if I'm not staying true to my word, how am I going to keep my word to anybody else? And that's a real strong message to youth. You know, we all rely on each other, but you should be able to rely on yourself.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think a lot of us are, a lot of youth especially, we do things for other people rather than we do it for ourselves. And we go about our lives, and we're, you know, a lot of the time trying to prove something to someone else and trying to be the best us, but not even for us, but really for the people that are around us. But really, we can never tap into what is true to us if we're living externally rather than living for ourselves internally.
No, exactly. No, very true.
So, Ange, as a very high-level athlete, what kind of things did athletics teach you about entrepreneurship, from a young age?
You know what? I think teamwork, number one. Not the biggest, I would say, like on a huge level, is being able to actually work with others, work around others, be creative, develop leadership skills. And I think, Troy Carter, who just spoke at Techtoberfest, this great, brilliant speaker and mastermind of business, he kind of had this really funny slide, and I liked it because he said, when I hit the bottom of my dumps and my business was failing and I needed to pull out all my clients, I had lost my big client, I had to move into my granny's house. And she showed him this picture of the floor, and he went, "Oh, what the heck's that?" Like, a picture of a floor. And she goes, "Yeah, you know what? You can't fall any further than the floor." And I think as an athlete, we learn to get knocked down, get our knees dirty, get our elbows bruised and scratched up. And we do that for others. We take the hits, and you work with coaches, you work to build up that mental toughness. And again, make yourself accountable. Like, there's nothing better than, especially team sports or even individual sports, where you build that network or your own community where you actually have to, they're relying on you for something, right? And I think that gives you that strength. So that relates and transfers into business. I think oftentimes I'm very passionate about sport and health, and that definitely melded and took me into the direction of being an entrepreneur. And it's definitely on those, I'd like to say, the harder days, which we all experience in business. It's made me a tougher person to get through that and aspire that, you know what? Yeah, like this is just a hard day. And you know what? There's hard days. I remember going to the gym or like pulling myself out of whatever the sport was, or coming out not being able to finish or qualify for something I trained so hard for. So I think just having that transfers over. It's the same mentality.
Yeah, you're going to be making all kinds of mistakes on your entrepreneurial journey, and you're going to be falling down a lot. And there's going to be days when you have no one to be accountable to but yourself, and you have no choice but to either get up and keep moving, or kind of sit there in your tracks and dwell in your own misery. And the athletic side definitely, for me as well, taught me to keep moving despite challenges, despite setbacks, and to always keep the mindset in the right place, because there's always another day. As long as you'll keep moving forward, things will improve.
Yeah, those hard times are always going to come. And I think a lot of us are a little too hard on ourselves that we're having a bad day. But like, it's okay. You're having a bad day. Get through it and go on to the next one. What are some things that you do when you're having a bad day? Like, how do you get through it?
Depends on how bad the day is. I've got like this one section in my house that has like a hole in the wall, and I'm just joking, there's not, but it's like where I would go and like bang my head. I like to say the best, definitely a workout. I choose to, I think getting outdoors, being with good people, to bounce ideas off of, but again, it depends on the hardships, but I think oftentimes clearing space, shutting the laptop down, shutting technology off, getting out and appreciating the outdoors, whether it's a hike or a run or a bike ride for me, which is huge. And just mentally exploring, like, okay, what's the challenge, addressing it with some positive energy, because there's got to be something. I always look at something with optimism. I even even when there are challenges, like in business at this stage, like, gosh, I've been sued. I've gone through court. I don't mind saying that. It's crazy. Like there's people out there in the business world that want to do bad. And unfortunately, even the good ones of us, we have to go through, those challenges. And oftentimes, yeah, like stepping outside and going, why is this happening? And trying to understand it. And sport, I'd have to say that's the biggest thing. And the right friendships. That's what I lean on. If I'm having a hard day, it's being open to the conversation. Like I have no problem posting on Facebook, having a bad day, please somebody call, or, I think Matt's probably seen some of my posts, like, my small rants, and I think that's honesty. Like that's, the life of an entrepreneur is like a roller coaster. We don't work that 9 to 5. We don't have that consistent like this, where you go in and you've got that job security. So it's nice to build your network of people that are going through the same thing, and we all have our highs and our lows. And when you go through that low, you can pick up the phone and go, I really need to sit down for a coffee, or I need to get the heck out of my office. What are you doing? And there's always somebody I find in your network that will say, I'm on it. Like, let's get together. So
I love what you said there about being open to having that conversation, and that, it's okay for us to be vulnerable, and it's okay for us to let out to other people. They're there for us. A lot of, and I see this happen to young people all the time when they're going through a bad time, where we all want to, and really not just young people, but everybody, where we want to hold it in and just hold it to ourselves. But really, it's okay.
Well, you gotta look perfect, right?
Have that conversation.
Yeah, I know. I'm a tear fest, Dave. Like seriously, I've opened up. I've bawled on stage. That was probably the moment I realized I could probably do anything. That took a lot, out of me. But I think when you get so comfortable with it, doesn't matter how large the audience or how small it is, with sharing your story. But yeah, if you're having a hard day, no problem with being honest. Like for me, I think that's the best thing, especially to share with youth. Don't hold it in. You're having a hard day. Something's going on at home, something's going on in school, you don't understand it. People are there to help. Like there's no such thing as a stupid question or something that you should go through alone. Like nobody should ever feel like that. So I've definitely learned that. I think I think it's something maybe even our generation, like our parents were I grew up with a family that it's like, don't talk about if you're having a hard day, and, you don't want to, even relationships, like my parents went through a separation, like, gosh, like heaven forbid, like outside of the house, anything looked bad, right? That perfect generation, like the 60s, 70s parents that got married, we all kind of grew up with like, hush, hush, shut the door. Don't let the neighbors see you.
Yeah.
And I'm all about I have no, obviously to a certain degree, I have no problem saying what's going on in my life. I'd much rather people know than to hide that.
Yeah. I don't know if you've noticed this, but it almost seems like if you suppress it, then it just comes back again. And it turns into this cycle where it'll come back, but worse. And if you suppress it again, it'll come back, but worse, until we really just accept it and release it and allow ourselves to feel that.
Exactly. So true.
Very cool.
We feel like we have to have this shiny image on the outside so often, and that the perfection has to be shown to the world. Yet those things kind of push you away from other people in a weird way, because everybody's not perfect, and you have to have some vulnerability and some willingness to be open about mistake, how you're feeling, negativity that goes on in your life, because everybody else has that shit too, and it helps them identify with you, especially if you're in a business or you're trying to build a brand, especially in today's world on the internet. Having that realness to you, as opposed to everything always being shiny and perfect, is going to yield you much better results and have people pay attention to you more often than it is if you're always the knight in shining armor and nothing ever hurts you.
Yeah, like we all have life, right? So that's, I think, being honest about how raw it is. People are more they'll gravitate more to that, and that be yourself. I think that's that's a huge motto for youth to grow up with, is again, like if you find out sooner than later why you're here, who you are, and what makes you tick, that's going to make you be more honest in the open and be comfortable about that. And I think we're seeing that more and more changes, especially with the whole messaging around, like mental health issues, especially in Canada the last couple of years, and the vast openness now of the teen suicides, which, to be frank, like I'm pretty certain there's always been that. It's just that it's become more of a medium that's out there, and maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. I'd much rather at this stage in the game change it to be more positive, with actually stories of kids doing epic things versus hearing about all the sad things, and actually letting, not just kids, let's talk, having the saying of like, they should be talking.
Yeah.
Like, it's there should never be any reason why we have to tell them let's talk. It should just be like
natural. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So yeah,
I think that's something for parents to be aware of too, is, encourage conversation with your kids as opposed to kind of keep them quiet, and, pay attention, put your phone down, talk with them, and encourage them to say what's on their mind.
Yeah. Really interesting. Just like Thanksgiving a couple of weeks ago, I had the first actual conversation that I had with my dad about our whole childhood and about a lot of the things that happened growing up. But that was a conversation that never occurred, that I finally had. And it gave me so much relief. And I realized that there's a lot of stuff that I was holding in about wanting to have that conversation about the shit that went on that I wasn't facing until that conversation happened. But really interesting. It took all this time, and I was suppressing things that I wasn't even aware of. And now having that conversation gave me so much relief. So I think we do have to be open to having these conversations. One of my mentors, Devon, says having a courageous conversation. And if we are willing to have these courageous conversations, then we can elevate our lives to really, where we want it to be.
That's really cool. That's a great experience. No, you're bang on. Like, I think the more honest we are, and, definitely children or youth are growing up faster than what I think any generation's had, just based on the exposure that they've got, and the fact that, more and more they don't have the parental same home front. And I think that's a challenge on its own right now, is that, people continue to bring obviously kids into this world, but they don't realize that, the time commitment that should go into that. And that's that whole, theoretically, like, how much time should you spend with your children? And it's sad to say, like, we've got, everything's organized, and I'm all about trying the best that I can with families and youth to say, what do you do that's unorganized? Like, I remember growing up and wanting to actually come home and be like, hey mom, let's go for a hike. I don't know a lot of kids that do that anymore, but that was my family. Like, everybody in my network, we lived on this beautiful country road when I was a little kid. So, everything was outdoors, and families all got together. We did dinners, sit down meals. Like, it wasn't, obviously, as you got to be a teenager, you're kind of like, hi, bye, and out the door. But still, there was at-home cooked meals. Like, you still had to, even if it was sitting down and shoving food in your face for 5 minutes, it was like you were sitting down and you were eating dinner, and then you're allowed back out. And now it's, I see kids that they're 15 and they don't even know when their mom or dad's going to be home.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, so think about it. If you're a parent, what responsibility, when you brought that child into this world, make yourself accountable. Like, that should have been one of your values, right? So I think oftentimes people overstep that, and they think they're ready to have a family. And I do challenge that, because I see a lot of kids that are left without really understanding, why they're so alone, and they don't have anybody to talk to. And the foundation of family should be there. And whether that comes from family or whether that comes from organizations like us that are doing cool things. And I think that's why we see more of an uprise of social programs and outreach for youth, because they really don't have a family foundation to go to.
True.
I'm curious to what you meant when you said that you ask youth what they do that's unorganized, and like, why do you ask them that?
Because I'm curious to see, like, I think everything we do now is scheduled. It's planned or scheduled. Sorry, like, I'm so used to this British scheduled. It's scheduled.
Is that how they say scheduled?
Yeah,
scheduled.
Scheduled.
That's funny.
Tomato. But I think we have so much organized sport. Like, I'll follow some of my friends who do have children, and it's like, okay, well, Billy's got hockey, and then, Sarah's got dance, and then I got it. Like, it's just, everything's organized. Everything's just like, like, whatever happened to, like, okay, there's the garage full of equipment. Go and find your next door neighbor and go get a ball hockey tournament going out front. Like, you know, we had organized sports to a degree, but we got to choose one. When I grew up, it's like, okay, you get one. That's it. That's all we can afford. The rest, like, I grew up thinking I'm pretty okay with sport. Like I'm done well. And the best part is because I played with my next door neighbors. I played on the playground. I went and chased my brother who never gave me the soccer ball. So I was trying to chase him because he was 5 years older. So it was like, I ended up being like the ball girl for 8 guys. You know, that's why I got fast. That's a laughing joke in our family.
You ended up getting the soccer ball?
Yeah, they kick it. Well, you know, little girl, they wanted to get rid of me. They kicked the soccer ball into like the net. I'd have to run after it. I'm like, okay, I'll go get it. I just want to hang out with you because you're so cool. No, that's
at least they weren't kicking it into the road.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm pretty sure at some point he probably did to try to get rid of me. I was smart enough that I didn't get the ball at that stage. Welcome to sibling rivalries. I grew up I love my brother, but I think that's the thing is like now how many siblings do you see where in that case, like brother, sister going out and with the neighbors and the kids and actually playing. Like I was in Toronto last week and this made me sick actually. There was a city bylaw sign on a neighborhood street in the Beaches that literally said ball hockey prohibited.
Wow.
The playing of ball hockey is prohibited.
So that means the parents get a fine if something like that takes place or what? Like, yeah. That's ridiculous.
I'm like, you are not allowed to set out nets on this street and play ball hockey. Wow. That was this. I almost wanted to phone the city going, what is your problem?
Was the sign specifically for ball hockey?
Yeah, it literally said, I took a photo. It literally said ball hockey prohibited. It was a city and it was a plaque that was on a telephone pole. And there was maybe 6 or 7 on this whole neighborhood down in the Beaches, right off of Woodbine and Gerard. And I was just like, this is nuts.
Yeah,
like,
is nuts.
You know, you're not allowed to play here. Like, don't ever think about playing in your neighborhood. It was legitimately a neighborhood. Like, it was, you know, houses with lots of kids. Like, I had to park my car down, and that's where I noticed them. I was just going, God. You know, so they have to go to playgrounds to play. Now, obviously, I'm assuming it's just because of the safety with all the cars, but I don't know. I remember playing on pretty busy streets, and you'd
I played on the street every day.
Drag the nets, the car would go through, the nets would come back out, and you'd continue playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like from a kid's perspective, all you want to do is go out and have fun. Like limiting that makes you feel like you're in a jail cell.
Mm-hmm.
To a certain degree, yeah.
Yeah, so I was, you know, like those are things that I hope to challenge definitely in the near future. Ottawa, we're not bad here, but because we've got lots of green space. We're really lucky. We're not as big as a Toronto or downtown Montreal. I guess like certain areas for the child safety, I guess, for playing. But yeah, the organized sport versus unorganized sport. You know, like what just happened to, you know, the gymnasium at a school, just leaving it open from 3:30 till 5:30 at night and
open gym.
Yeah. Right? Go in and there's a supervisor or there's somebody from a university or college that shows up. They get paid for the 3 hours they're there. They can do their homework if they want, but they're the supervisors. And you go in, grab a badminton, get a game going, whatever. Yeah. I don't know a lot of places that just do that. So
I know I'm not out playing street hockey much anymore, but I never see it anywhere. And then when I was a kid, it was everywhere. I played every day.
Yeah, everywhere. That's it.
Summer and winter, rollerblades or not, didn't matter.
We're going to start a young pros movement of like outdoor play.
There we go.
And then outdoor play, show it. We want to see it. What do you do outdoors?
Cool. Get everyone to send us their videos of them playing outdoors, and we'll put a little video together.
Yeah.
I did that through high school.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We did this. I did the same thing. Like I played field hockey and cross country and obviously rowing in grade 12, but you know, we only practiced field hockey once a week. But I'll tell you, all my girlfriends after school, if we didn't have a practice, it was like, hey, what are you doing? You want to go and do some practices, do some sweeps? Yeah, let's do it. So that was like, I had a great group of girls. Like that's what we did versus like going to the mall and sitting down with our phones.
Yeah.
You know, it was more about, like let's go and do this. And same thing, like if you're into gamification, you know, I'm pretty sure instead of sitting in front in your own living room by yourself and you're 15 playing a video game, well, get together with a couple of others and do that. Like make it more social.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit like it's just about getting together. It's not about actually having something that your parents have to pay for, but it's, think about like what we could do and what you could actually do with all the resources that are out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So, Angela, a little bit of a different topic, but I want to get into what software you guys have built, and what peer-to-peer marketing really is.
Yeah, so obviously with SokJok and the fact that we're doing a lot of programs in schools, and we take a really cool consumable good. I've actually got one here. There you go. There's one of the socks, and we got like the funky socks. But so, you know, like what I was noticing was that Scholastic books are the chocolate almonds that everybody knows so well as fundraising tools. The traditional method is the order form goes out, the parents give the child the money, and then they come back to the school, they give the orders that they fulfilled and the money in like the Ziploc bag. We all did this, right? And then the teacher would have like all these Ziploc bags and all these order forms, and they get fulfilled, whether it be the books, or in this case, like the chocolate almonds, it was the money that would come in, and then the box would go back to the youth that would actually go out and then sell it, and then they'd make 2 times the amount that was invested, and that's how they would make money for their school. So there was always a little bit of money out front. And then there was a hassle that the teacher or whoever the parent was doing the fundraising organizational, I guess, you know, organizing of that would have to go through. So I just saw this time and time again. I thought, well, how could one make this more efficient? And, you know, in 2009, I really saw the fact that I wanted to create SokJok, not just as a sock, but socks for a purpose, which is our mission statement. And it really was about more so the why behind the sock, and creating a message that taking that Canadian or consumable good that parents are all purchasing already to put on their kids' feet and reinvesting that. But better yet, how do we actually subscribe? How do we get that going where it's seamless, it's easy, they can order online, the orders can go 12 months of the year. So let's face it, you know, school might be out for the summer, but does that mean that people stop buying socks? If anything, the biggest month that parents spend a lot of money on products for their kids is August.
Yeah.
Going back to school.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so like my goal is like, you know what, like all the back to school products, like backpacks and all those things, they should be reinvesting back into you future some way. So SokJok, that was my biggest thing. And I knew that a software was going to be the biggest thing that I needed to create, that was going to embed like an online purchase order platform. It was going to create something that we could get the youth to be more engaged with the software, that they could share their stories, that they could take photos, that they could upload like their personal program that their school might be doing as a fundraiser. You know, parents could tap in and actually go, oh, that's why I'm buying the socks. It's helping the drama club out. I get it, right? Like, so there was more visual to it than just like, here's an order form, buy. And then at the end of it, the fundraising's done and, you know, it's off. That's the thing I didn't like about the chocolate almonds was you'd buy the chocolate almond box, you'd give your $2, and then you do it again 4 or 5 months later, you know, and you do it not because you really need the chocolate. You just do it because you really want to support the kid. And I think
you like the chocolate and you saved your allowance and might buy some for yourself.
Yeah, I know. Or as I've learned from many parents, they end up not selling all the chocolate boxes, but the parents still bought the whole box. So they'll just it out, right? So and it's not sustainable. It's not a business model that continues to have youth continuing to be engaged. So I wanted to create something that created that peer-to-peer platform that not only could take consumable good as a catalog item, but more so would actually offer a platform where they can start to share their stories, learn about social enterprise, learn about causes that they want to give back to, and share that story with others. Because really, I think that's so important. Like, you know, I want to know that, you know, whether it be like the example of like Sarah, who was into dancing earlier on, like Sarah's 15 and, you know, maybe she comes from a family that doesn't have a lot and she really wants to go to a dance program over her March spring break. Well, let's help her, you know, and how would I know that unless Sarah shared that story? Right. You know, and that's, I think, the nice thing with having the capability of being able to launch a software that offers Sarah the opportunity for free to build that platform, integrate all of the social media. Like, let's face it, kids are using Tumblr, they're using Snapchat, they're using Facebook, they're using Instagram. They're faster than I am. I can't even figure Snapchat out. I'll probably end up hiring a whole bunch of teenagers to do it. But that's what they live by. So give them something as a platform that they can use and they can actually make a difference using it. And parents can see that. It makes it more tangible. So that's where Marzar, I've spent the better part of like the last year and a half with Marzar and Algonquin College, developing Champion a Campaign, or non-for-profit angle. I really wanted to create that angle where we could create future champs. And I like using champions because obviously in sport, that's, you know, technically it's like that big, like, yeah, I'm a champion. But I think all kids are champions. Our 4 pillars are community, arts, sports, and academics. And I love it because from the day Adam Creek, Olympic gold medalist, rower, good friend of mine, you know, when I said CASA, he goes, oh, CASA is awesome. He goes, it means house in Spanish. And I went, oh my God, that's brilliant. So, you know, like our model is all about, we all belong under one roof. It doesn't matter, you know, what you're here to do, how you're going to get there. We're here to support that. There's ample opportunity, and we're here to give back in the 4 pillars of community, arts, sports, and academics. And that's where youth have the opportunity to plug in to where they feel they fit. There's no discrimination. It's all about support. We all have feet. We all have a chance of where we have come to date, and we all have opportunities of where we're going. And, you know, SokJok started that movement, and thanks to the software that's peer-to-peer, we've got this opportunity now to not only connect youth, but awesome companies like yours, Matt and Dave, that are doing cool things. So we can actually share that with our network too. Like I wanted to build this because there's nothing better than to surround yourself with other businesses and companies that are doing great things with their products and services, and join together in the mission to make a difference. I don't want to be alone in this. Like SokJok's one of many companies, like 10 Tree, you know, shout out to those guys. They've done some epic things. Obviously, let's hug it out what you're doing, Matt, and you know, like there's Spivo Sticks in town, Ramey, Shave Gel, Nick's, a local auto entrepreneur. Like I could name out a whole bunch of companies doing cool things, and these are companies I know that I want to add to the catalog and get kids invested in, and they understand those companies that are giving back to them.
Right. So as a youth, if I want to fundraise for something, I can just go on the website, and I can make my own account and then post my story and then choose from the catalog in order to raise funds for what I need to fundraise in. Exactly.
So we've just launched Champion a Campaign. We're making everything live. We've been going through all the beta tests. We launched our first champion wall last week with Sejay School, which is with a local school here that's helping a school over in Africa, which is really cool. Never thought that we'd get into something international right away, but it is locally run. But we've got the championacampaign.com going live, so definitely can share that link with you guys. I know I sent you SokJok, so we've got some changes happening here in the next week. Our goal is to have everything live by November the 1st, so it's exciting. And that's exactly.
Is Champion Campaign and SokJok linked together?
They will be. So the new site that's launching on November 1st, both SokJok and Champion Campaign. On SokJok site, you'll actually have a lot of links to, you know, check out Champion Campaign. It will be in the menu option. We'll have like sign up for our Champion Ambassador program, and that will all redirect you to the Champion Campaign. And obviously when you get there, you'll see SokJok as one of our catalog items. And on the Champion site will also be a link saying, hey, are you a cool company that's doing epic things to support youth? Let us know. We want to talk. So right now what we're doing is we're reaching out to companies and reviewing them and getting them to come on board and learn a little bit about our business model and seeing if they're a right fit and vice versa to work with us and add them to that catalog.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you. Way to create that stuff, because that really is, there's a whole lot of kids that don't get to do the things they want to do as they're growing up, and having the ability to go and raise funds for themselves is a very unique idea, because it's out of the school system, right? Yeah. Being able to do it on their own terms and have products and services that kids identify with, and have them be able to go out and share that with their friends, their parents' friends, et cetera, and raise some money to support something they believe in or something they want to do is great, Ange. So, you know, good on you for doing that.
Thank you. Well, hey, I know that you're doing the same thing. So hopefully I'll reach out and be one of the companies to join us.
Is there an age limit?
So yeah, our age limit is 13 to 18 is our primary focus. Okay. And we're going to be branching out into 19 to 30 as well with college and university. I really want to see the 19 to 30-year-old youth bracket fit into the job exploration market, where we start to actually see from the businesses that partner with us, where we start to land grants to actually be able to hire undergrads and place them in companies. Because
Cool.
the more that, if we look at it, if we work together, we could actually build an ecosystem of next generation business entrepreneurs, leaders, and build our own accelerator around thought leaders. I think that's the coolest part about where I see this. So yeah, we're already channeling that right now. Actually, my next call after you guys is with somebody who's in British Columbia, who was the director of education actually when I biked across Canada for the Canadian Wildlife Federation. And Randy's now at the University of the Rockies and UNBC. So we're going to start to talk about channeling some partnerships within the post-secondary school boards and colleges across Canada.
That's so cool. So if I'm under 18, if I'm like 16 years old and I stick with you guys, I could start my own campaign, start fundraising. And then after 18, I could have the potential to land a job or an internship with some of the companies that you partnered up with.
100%. Even if you're a teen, if you're 13, like think about it this way, the champion wall that you're building is allowing you to have a savings account, right? And give back to a cause that you are wanting to give back with, which could be your own cause, right? Or it could be something else. But then more than that, it's also paying you a paycheck. Right. So you are acting as a distributor of all the catalog items of the cool companies that you want to promote within your peer-to-peer platform. So, and you can change those. Like you could say, hey, this month I'm going to donate my money here, or I'm going to do this specific cause. So you can continue to build your engaging platform and make it grow. Or it can be very focused where it's like, I'm raising $5,000 and this is what it's for. And you get there, boom. Well, that's done. Now you still have your champion wall. What's your next thing? Right. So it's almost like teaching you, like, imagine if you signed up at the age of 13, it's like a tax-free savings account. You can actually put money away until you're 18 years old in that savings account. People can donate to you as well if they really feel inclined. But you could save up money for post-secondary. You could save up to buy your first place. You could learn about investing in the startup. You could have money to start a business, all sorts of things. And I think the cool part is yeah, it can lead to jobs. Like you can hire somebody that's 15. I'd love, like, for myself by next summer to have street beat teams and youth doing cool things in communities, have people that are going out to the sport organizations and the youth camps, and that's their job. Like their job is to spread the word. Let's hug it out, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's all about, like, why can we not do that? Like they're already making an income off of stuff that they're wearing and what's on their feet, and it's great. So I think
that's amazing.
To build that out.
You're probably going to help develop a whole bunch of young entrepreneurs.
What's that?
Sorry about that, Matt. Cut you off there.
You're probably going to develop yourself a whole bunch of young entrepreneurs too.
Hopefully. I'd love to see that. I think entrepreneurship is definitely this mold of the future, but if anything, it's just, I think, developing more conscious Canadians, like younger Canadians that have, again, like that diverse cultural background, that they're going to offer this to other countries that they might have immigrated from. And that's what I love so much about Canada, is that we really could make a statement in the next decade of where we are as leaders in business, and not necessarily even if not to say like developing entrepreneurs, but developing people that understand how businesses run. And I think that gives you, if hiring somebody or working in a company now, appreciating and understanding how hard it is to actually own a business, it makes a world of difference. Like I know when I go into somebody's company, or I go into a store, or I go in somewhere, I respect the staff that are there. I respect who the owner is, because I know how hard it is to get it to that stage. It's it's interesting kind of when you look around places you shop now differently, or when I go to, even buy clothes, I have such a hard time buying clothes. Yeah. So, because I just, I'm very particular about, where they're from and how they were made. So I think it just makes better people by understanding who we are, our consumption of stuff.
Yeah.
I think what you're doing is so relevant. One, for the companies, because there's so many more companies that are coming up now that want to give back, that want to not only just have a product, but have a product that serves something bigger than just a product. And two, there's so many youth that want to promote and only wear and eat and all their products, they want it to be something that is given back. They want it to be something that they believe in. And you're connecting the two together where the youth can find those companies that they can believe in, and they can go ahead and promote that to the world. I remember having a Let's Hug It Out event, and all these young people that came out, and we were giving hugs to everyone and promoting Let's Hug It Out. And we had like this wall that was going on where we wouldn't let people pass by until they would give us a hug, which was kind of, some people didn't really like that, but it was fun. And, so many more people that are around me, they want to promote the things that are giving back to the world and they're doing something bigger. And you're creating that whole ecosystem. So kudos to you. That's incredible.
Well, kudos to you guys too. It's a pleasure to definitely be involved and after such a long time of going back and forth, because I know you guys have been doing some real epic stuff, and I'm honored. So honestly, it's nice to reconnect as always, and see that there's other awesome people out there, like seriously doing some great stuff for youth and just in general. Like I think, like Matt, you brought it up, like families and parents, like people that should be inspired to like see that there's generations that are coming up that have an opportunity to offer hope. That's I think that's a huge message. We have to work together to make this happen. Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned something before. You said a champion's wall.
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
So, champion the campaign. So when you go on to build your champion profile, that becomes your champion wall, your champion community wall. So really, like, you own it. It's like your Facebook wall, your Instagram. Like you own it, you administrate it. That's where you can go. You can track like your sales. You can see your accounts. You can see how much you've given back to your cause. It becomes like that's your account. So it's really cool. You can make it as social as you want. You can share it with as many people as you want. You can make it as private as you want as well. So if you're an organization that wants to just keep your champion wall, say, internal and share that, then that's fine. But you can also make it public. So the nice thing is like, especially for youth, as we start to grow our channels, like say with young pros to banks to different organizations to companies, the more that a youth is open to having their wall or their champion wall in the public eye, if they start saying, hey, I'm looking for a summer job, and then we see that, then boom, guess what? We're going to send that message out to all of those networks we got saying, hey, like, check out this guy or check out this girl. They're looking for a summer job. They're 16. Download their CV. Like there'll be an area on the champion wall where youth will be able to upload their personal CV. So I like to think like this is like a youth Amazon meets like LinkedIn. Like think about it that way, right? Like it's kind of like really cool. Like it's a tailored youth Amazon storefront where it's controlled because we obviously are only allowing companies that are doing epic shit to actually help youth.
Yeah.
And that's the only way you're going to come in is you got to be involved and invested in them, just like they're going to invest in your product to market that to their peers and their family. And then the secondary thing is getting that opportunity where you can actually, talk. They can actually like not let's talk, like they can talk. Like I want to know what's going on. Like, if you're wanting mentorship, awesome. Boom. Let's get you open to the mentorship. If you're wanting some help on this, or you're wanting some volunteer hours to graduate, because guess what? They all need volunteer hours to graduate. What better than to do those hours in something they love to do versus, I got to do like 40 hours and I got to find it. And I guess I'll just go work at my mom's place because I can get in there easy. No, like let's actually find what makes you tick. Like, let's get you going into figuring out if that's something you're going to like.
Yeah.
So that's what this is all about.
I like that. Only companies that are doing epic shit.
Only companies that are doing
that's a good tagline.
Yeah. Mic drop.
Mic drop. All right, cool. Angela, we're coming close to the hour mark here. First of all, I just want to say that it was an absolute pleasure having you on the show. And I know that everybody watching right now has got some incredible insights from you and are super excited for the platform that you're launching right now. So thank you for taking time of your day to come on the show.
Yeah, well, thanks Matt and David for having me on. I'm honored, seriously, anytime, and I can't wait to share this with everybody else. So hopefully there's a live link or a shared link afterwards, so I can promote it and get some other people to watch afterwards because they should be logging in. I'll definitely be forwarding this off to the director of education because he'll be all over this and hopefully get it out there. So yeah.
Hopefully the people who are watching right now have already seen you live at the Young Pros event.
Yes. My gosh. Yeah. That's on this Thursday. I'm excited to, yeah, exactly. Collab space, right? 5:30 onwards. So are you guys still selling and promoting tickets?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you want to do a plug? Like how much are the tickets?
This will air after.
Yeah. So they would have already seen you.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. All right.
Any closing words that you want to leave with the youth that are watching this right now that you think could give value to them in their own lives?
Yeah, I think going back to the first topic we had at the start of the hour, you guys, take pen to paper or finger to your tablet or your notes and give yourself 5 minutes of time to write down those top 3 values that make who you are right now, and start to create that vision board. Think about your life. What is it? What is it that makes you happy? And, even for the adults out there, do this as an exercise as a family. How cool would that be? And don't peek over your mom or your dad's shoulder or your sister's shoulder. This is yours. You don't have to share it with anybody. This is private. You can share it, but start to create, what makes you who you are, and start to really value that. That means something. It doesn't matter whether you're 10 years old or whether you're 50 years old or you're 90 years old. We all have goals and dreams, and I think writing those down earlier, the better. So that's the message I want to leave with.
Here's my vision board right here.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. I love it. Sweet.
I actually called it a reality board because that's my reality and not even my vision.
I like it.
Yeah.
That is so cool. All right, you're in my 5%. I like it.
Woo!
Sweet.
All right,
well, thanks
cool.
so much, guys, for hosting. I'm honored, and I look forward to seeing you on Thursday.
Yes. All right, guys. So we're gonna put the links to Angela's website down below, so be sure to check that out because it's absolutely awesome. And guys, remember to subscribe to the Young Pro Show. Go on youngproshub.com, put your name and email in, and we'll send you the links through your email to all of the new episodes where we have powerful conversations with incredible human beings from all around the world. So plug in because we're doing this for you. Thank you guys, and I hope all of you have an amazing rest of your day. Tune into the next episode of the Young Pro Show coming up soon.